Hey everybody, this is going to be an introduction to assignment 2, which is our digital 3D modeling assignment. So I have the assignment sheet up here. It'll be posted in your Teams channel. You'll be able to find it there. So what we're asking you to do in this assignment is take your precedent model study from Studio, and you'll pick whichever one of them. Most of you, I assume, have done 2 model studies at this point. Pick whichever one you prefer, and you are going to digitally model it in Rhino as closely and as accurately as you can to the model that you have physically built. Not based on the model or not based on the precedent itself, but based on the physical model that you have. From there, you will export a series of views, the rendered Arctic and pen views that have been modified, and create a composition in Photoshop that will be your final submission for this. Keep in mind, your model that you've built physically was very likely scaled at 1/4 inch equals a foot. When you're working digitally, it is always good to be working at 1:1. So 1 foot equals 1 foot. So in order to make that conversion, you'll have to convert back. So an easy way to think about this is 1 inch in your physical model equals 4 feet in your digital. Or another way to think about it is 1 inch in your physical model equals 48 inches. So any measurement you take from your physical model can be multiplied by 48, assuming that your 1/4 inch equals a foot, and it will equal the correct real life scale measurement. Now this assumes you're not changing units, so that would be 1 inch in your model equals 48 inches in your real life digital model. Once you've created this model, you will submit 11 by 17 single PDF that has the final image that you've created, as well as the separate layers that you exported from Rhino, the rendered Arctic and pen layers. In Rhino, I'd like you to use a couple layers, specifically a layer for mass, plane, and frame, as well as a layer for silhouette people, which we'll go over, and a circulation path layer. All models should include some ground condition, or in this case, I'm calling it a plinth. As you see on the screen in front of you, there's a ground surface that is charcoal gray. That is the plinth in this case. If your model did not include one, you should make one for the digital version of it. You're going to include a circulation path using the sweep 1 command, which I will go over in the modeling section of this tutorial. And that will just show the path that you take through the project as you imagine it. Key to exporting everything is going to be the command view capture to file, which will essentially capture whatever you are showing on your screen currently and export it as an image. In this case, we're going to export as a TIFF, because TIFFs are the highest quality image and will be the best for editing later. It will ask you to set a resolution as your output. Generally, it's best to just sort of lock that resolution, meaning lock the vertical and horizontal proportionally to one another. So all you have to do is just set the horizontal to whatever you want. In this case, we're going to set it to 3400 because if we're thinking about 11 by 17 at 200 dpi, 17 inches times 200, 3400 pixels. You can certainly go higher. In general, for printing, 300 dpi is the general gold standard goal, as most printers can print about 300 dpi, including most of the printers at DAAP. There are printers that can go higher, but for most uses, the human eye can't see much better than 300 dpi until it gets very close to your eyes. So at a normal reading distance, no piece of paper ever needs to be higher than 200. For most screens, you're likely holding the screen far enough away from your face that 200 dpi is plenty fine. Resolution is entirely dependent on distance from the eye. The closer it is to your eye, the more resolution you need to not notice a field of pixels. Finally, you'll make some final adjustments in Photoshop, which of course I will go over. So for this assignment, I'm going to make a series of presentations, first on modeling techniques in Rhino, The second will be on exporting specific types of rendered Arctic and pen views, which are specific display modes. And the third will just be combining these in Photoshop. The last two little demos will be much quicker. The first one is going to be a bit longer, as it will cover general 3D modeling in Rhino and try to cover as much as possible. I have also included a second page of this, which are just what I consider the most useful commands in Rhino. Of course, this is not every command in Rhino, and I'm going to cover many of these, but not all of these in the demo. Some of these we'll cover at a later point in this class, but I'm going to cover sort of the basic ones and the ones that I think are particularly useful right now. But this is a really a good list to get started and just kind of understand most of the commands in Rhino. So with that being said, go ahead and watch the next tutorial, which will be on 3D modeling.